Today we are going through the best defenders in FIFA 23. We have got ourselves a tier list system. Obviously starting off with S tier being the absolute best and working all the way down to D being awful. I've basically gone for the most meta cards in the game and we're just going to go from next. I didn't want to go through every card. So we're going to start off with the new Lucio hero. This card is unbelievable. He's so good. From the start of the game till now, his price has just been going up and up and up. And because of this new mechanism with lengthy, it just makes him unbelievable. So meta. If we have a look on Footbin, you can see he's about 900,000 coins. And with a shadow, he becomes a 94 rated centre-back. So he has to be in the S tier. Moving on, next to him is going to be his partner in crime. And that is going to be Cordoba. Lucio actually plays in Serie A, not Bundesliga. That's a mistake. And having them two together is an absolute nightmare. Cordoba, as like last year, is just an absolute beast. His height makes no difference because of how good his physical is. Coming in at only 385,000 coins. He's only got 425 as a max price. This card is actually quite cheap for how good he is. You put an anchor on him, he basically becomes a 92 rated centre-back. So you have got yourself two centre-backs with 90 plus pace. One with lengthy and one with controlled. One being smaller than the other. But they are an absolute nightmare to partner up together. We are going to move on to our next player in the list, which is going to be Araujo. I'm putting him in S tier, and hear me out on this. Every time I play against this card, he is an absolute nightmare. Only 83 rated, but I swear to you, he plays like a 90, especially with a shadow on. If we go on to Footbin, you can see he's about 3k. This is one of the cheapest defenders who are in this tier. And with a shadow, he becomes an 87 rated centre-back. If this guy ever gets a special card, we are in big trouble. We are going to move on to now Varane. You know already he was going to be an S tier. This card basically feels the exact same as he did last year, if not better. Again, on Footbin, about 62,000 coins. But if you put a shadow on him, he's an 89 rated centre-back. So if you're looking to have low-tier pricing, you go for Araujo. If you've got mid-tier, Varane. And obviously top-tier is going to be the heroes. But Varane is just, again, Varane. And the guy who's next to him is basically the same card. And that's going to be Team of the Week, Saliba. Team of the Week, Saliba is already in my team. I use him every single day. And he is basically a carbon copy of Varane. Coming in at around 60,000 coins. You can probably get him a little bit cheaper in good times of the market. Again, with a shadow, makes him an 88 rated centre-back. And because he's 6'4" with this lengthy, he's just unbelievable. Always in the way. Absolute pain to get past. We are going to move on to our next centre-back now, which is going to be Eder Militao. Again, another crazy centre-back. Always in the way. Always doing his job, and as per usual, he is extremely expensive like he always is in FIFA. I played against this card, it feels like every single opponent has him, and just because he has 86 base normal stats, it's just a crazy card. And then if you want to make him even more meta, you can just put an anchor on him and he becomes lengthy, chilling in around 130,000 coins. Making him lengthy just means he gets quicker over time, not like he needs to be any quicker because he's got 90 pace. And he is just a machine. I don't think this card's dropping down anytime soon. And that is because of one to watch or gold Rudiger. I managed to pack this guy as well, very luckily. And Rudiger, I'm telling you, is basically a mixture of Varane and Militao together. But he has the opportunity to get at least 2 upgrades minimal without any performances. They just need to win 3 out of 8. Or even Germany needs to win as well, which just makes him unbelievable. He's in my team next to Saliba, and them two together are just a crazy combination. He already has lengthy, so you know he's going to be meta just for that reason. And as you can see here on Footbin, he's 140,000 coins. But because he has lengthy already, you can add a shadow and it becomes a 91 rated centre-back, which is ridiculous for somebody of that price. He is very close to feeling like Lucio in game. A bit of a strange comparison, but he is very close. We are going to move on to our next player now, and our next player is going to be, of course, Mr. Kimpembe himself, and he has to be an S tier just for the culture of FIFA. Kimpembe, as per usual, FIFA don't really watch him in real life, and he doesn't play anything like this in real life, but on FIFA, he is the bane of everybody's life. As you know, he's already got the lengthy, of course, with 80 pace, coming in at 42,000 coins. That means we could just put a shadow on him straight away, and he's an 88 rated centre-back. And I'm telling you, It doesn't matter what FIFA it is or what year it is, this card will always be a problem no matter what. That means we are going to move on to our next defender. We're going to move over to the right back situation here, and we're going to have Kyle Walker. If you don't know about Kyle Walker, here's something you need to know. Obviously, one being probably the quickest right back at 85 rated in the game. And Walker has already got lengthy. So somebody with that pace already has lengthy. Is a big issue. That's why his prices just keeps going up and up and up. We look at the graph here, because the lengthy is becoming the meta. As you can see, with 91 pace, with lengthy, you don't even need a shadow on him. You can put an anchor on him, and he becomes an 86 rated right back. Or just generally, those stats to me don't look like 86 at all. They look like a 90 at the minimum, and that's why he's in everybody's team. And the reason being, the left back, who we're going to now, is in everybody's team, because you can do the exact same with Mendy. Again, I was lucky enough to pack Mendy. I'll move my camera the other side. And he's just unbelievable. Again, another FIFA where I don't know if people watch him enough. I don't watch him enough in real life to know how good he is. But is he as good as FIFA say he is? We don't know. For an 83, he's definitely the best 83 card in the game. That is for sure. And the reason why he's becoming better and better is because you put an architect on him and he becomes lengthy as well. Coming in at 108,000 coins with a lengthy under architect. Just as it's an unbelievable combination. It is really unbelievable being able to compare them two together like that. And the other crazy thing, there is one more French left back. I'll move my camera back over, who is also the exact same as him. And we have got ourselves Theo Hernandez. Theo Hernandez is one of those ones where he's just got better and better over time, especially with AC Milan, really working his way up. And he has 93 pace, 78 defending, 83 physical. But again, he's on control. So if you put architect on him, he becomes lengthy. And that makes him just unbelievable. As we have a look here, his price is about 94,000 with an architect. He keeps the same sort of rating or anything. He drops, but don't worry about that. Trust me with this lengthy thing. Lengthy means they get quicker over time. So the longer they sprint, the faster they become. And it is a real problem. We are going to move ourselves down now to some A tiers, and we are going to go to Ruben Diaz. I've used Ruben Diaz, and I thought because of lengthy and his height, he would be an S tier. But he's just a little bit lacking. Unfortunately, he just doesn't quite have it in his locker. He is a very good card for someone that's starting out on FIFA and you need the defensive help. But because, again, he does have lengthy, of course, as you can see now. But the problem being is he just doesn't quite have the acceleration, so it takes him longer to get to faster speeds. We all know FIFA's king with pace. Coming in at 22,000 coins, you can't quibble too much. If he was way more expensive, he'd probably be on the B list. But that is the reason why we have stuck him on A, because of his pace, because of his price and much more. Moving on is going to be Rudiger's partner, and I was really disappointed with Alaba. I thought Alaba was going to be another one similar to Rudiger, and who was just going to fill that. And Alaba in real life is an unbelievable defender. Had a fantastic season last year, and I just don't know. It's just something about him just a bit lacking, a bit disappointing, and I think that is why he has become that. Again, you can make him lengthy, of course, but it's the same kind of similar problem with Rudiger. With Ruben Diaz. As you can see there, 47,000 coins with the lengthy as an architect. But he just doesn't quite feel that good. I can't explain it. Maybe it's because he's rounded off at 79. So I do feel like if you were going to put anything on him, it's definitely an anchor to boost up the pace, or even a shadow to make him 89 rated. But because he is controlled, it just makes him lacking in that department. Moving on to our next centre-back. It's going to be Mr. Old Meta, and it's Joe Gomez, and I'm going to put him as a B. Might be a little bit controversial, but because of just how low rated he is with his awareness, just means he doesn't jockey very well anymore, and that's a huge problem. I know he has lengthy and 80 pace, and again, you can put a shadow on him, and he becomes really fast. But he needs to boost that defensive awareness a little bit more, and his header accuracy is very poor. This might be a bit tough on him, and it might be a little bit harsh, coming in at the price of 6,000. But I just feel that he's just lacking something every time. He always gets me in problems. He never clears the ball out properly or anything like that. And he really does struggle in moments. But the reason he's in a B is because he's a great starting centre-back. And he is very good for someone starting off in FIFA and cheap. Moving on to our next defender. And it's going to be someone else from the Premier League. It's going to be Diego Carlos. And he is our first C tier. I was extremely disappointed with Diego Carlos because of how good he was in previous FIFAs. I thought, okay, this is going to be one of the Prem starter defenders we see all the time. He's just not that at all. And if anything's right to tell you that, it's his price. 1,200 for a Brazilian 83 centre-back from the Prem. That's got fodder written all over it, and if it's a fodder card, they seem to go for a lot more. But I don't know what it is with this card. Maybe it's his body type or something. It's just not the greatest. He's got fantastic stats with a shadow, but just doesn't play like that at all in-game. I don't know why. There's something lacking there, and it is a big shame. Moving on to our next defender here, and it's going to be Timber. And I've used Timber a lot, and I have to say, he's the best defender in Eredivisie, but not anywhere near the best defender in game. And I'm really sorry for Ajax fans, and I know Timber is a really fantastic prospect in real life, but it just does not translate over in the game, and you can see why here. So on Footbin, he is 850 coins. Again, the league isn't that great anymore because of obviously Ajax selling all their players. So it is harder for them to have links and stuff. But as you can see, you can get him on anchor with a lengthy, and that's probably his best. But again, just having really low headering accuracy, his balance and dribbling, etc. really good for this card, but it just doesn't translate in the game. He's always slacking. I've used him for a long time because I've got Gakpo Player of the Month, and I had the right back from the storyline, and I'm still struggling with him. And it's a real shame because Timber, as normal, is normally a really good go-to defender, especially at the start. He's only in D because of how crazy meta this list is. And if it was in a normal low price, he'd be higher up the tier list. Moving back up to S tier, and we have got ourselves Tomori. Tomori is just unbelievable. I can't believe how good he is. People are saying he should be called up for England, and if you're basing it off FIFA, 100%. He is an absolute monster. AC Milan got themselves a fantastic defender, especially for their system. And as you don't know, he's coming in about 80,000 coins now when we flip over to Footbin. And I think that's a great price for somebody of that caliber. Put an anchor on him, becomes lengthy with 94 sprint speed. But look at the defensive stats. The lowest stat is going to be 87, which is header and accuracy, and he's an 89 rated centre-back. This card is just crazy, especially the links to another Theo Hernandez or Kyle Walker. Both of them coming under this lengthy meta as well. He's just an absolute mixture for disaster for anyone coming up against them. We are going to move over to Klosterman, and he is going to be in the B list as well. I like Klosterman a lot, and if he was just a little bit higher, maybe with some more special cards, he will become really good. But Klosterman's only coming in at quite a cheap price, and again, it's because of the same reason as Gomez. Which doesn't quite translate in game. You're going to need to put a shadow or an anchor on him. If you put an anchor on, it becomes 85 rated. But the agility and balance is always not the greatest, but it's his composure, which is the biggest red flag. Means under any sort, especially in this FIFA, any sort of pressure, he'll mislead a pass, maybe sometimes miss a tackle or make a mistake. And that is why he's so cheap. Bundesliga's got some really good players, especially from Leipzig with Nkunku, for example. So he has got the links, and they're just still not quite there, which is a real shame for him. We are going to be moving back to S tier, and it's going to be Maldini. I was kind of waiting to put some of these icons in. We already know that Maldini is a machine without having this lengthy or controlled runner type, and 92 Maldini is no different. He is an absolute machine, as per usual. No difference with him whatsoever. Just he's actually better with lengthy because you now have him with an anchor. He's coming in about 1.350 million coins there, and with an anchor, he becomes a 94 rated centre-back, and you do not need to change him for the rest of the game. If you've got him, keep him. You don't need to sell him. He's just crazy good. Unbelievable presence, as always. And we're not going to cover him too much because he's obviously out of a lot of people's price range. Moving on to the next one is Van Dijk, who I generally think is the best gold defender in the game, if not the best defender in the game. Van Dijk is an absolute menace this year. They have got him completely right for the first time in a long time. Do you remember a couple of years ago when Van Dijk was like 500k on FIFA? This feels like that Van Dijk. With a shadow on, he is an absolute monster. 220,000 coins with lengthy, but with a shadow, he has 99 sprint speed. That means over time he'll hit max speed. No one will be able to get past him as a 93 rated centre-back. Every single defensive stat's over 91 as at least a minimum. And he is an absolute monster. I've played against this card too many times already, and I'm sick of him. If he gets a special card, we are in big, big trouble as a FIFA community. Sticking to the Prem, though, we are going to move over to the next transfer as Koulibaly. And I've done a review on this card, and at first I was like, oh, it's a centre-back. He's, you know, it's not that good. Koulibaly is unbelievable as well. If you haven't got enough coins to get yourself a Van Dijk, get yourself a Koulibaly. That's basically the trademark right there. Get a shadow on him, and he becomes an absolute monster. As you can see, 105,000 coins with a shadow. He's got 90 pace, becomes a 91 centre-back. And 84 is his minimum as a headed accuracy, sorry. But everything else is crazy. Koulibaly was an absolute godsend for me. So good in defence, causing so many problems, constantly getting in the way. And it was just everywhere. For 100,000 coins, you are laughing. He's very, very good. Possibly endgame, depending on how many special cards we get. Moving back to the Prem again, it's going to be Cancelo, which we all knew Cancelo was coming at some point. But the difference this year, he can play at left back or right back. With his 4-star weak foot, 4-star skills. Again, he is controlled, but if you put an anchor on him, he becomes ridiculously good under controlled. Or even a shadow if you wanted to really boost up his pace. So let's have a look at him on Footbin. So he's currently coming in at 112,000 coins. With a shadow, he gets a 93 pace and 88 defending. And he's just a machine. Header and accuracy, ignore that, because he's a left back or right back, but he is possibly one of the best left backs or right back combinations in the game you can have. Him with Kyle Walker on one or the other side is just an absolute nightmare to deal with. Imagine Van Dijk and Koulibaly in the middle as your back four. You are going to be very hard to get past, I can promise you that. We are going to move over to our next one, which I would never thought I would put Carlos Puyol in an S tier, but I have. And the reason being is he is impossible to get past this year. He's so good, especially with the lengthy system. He has it, of course, most defenders do, which means now when you put a shadow on, it actually means something. It means he is going to become faster over time. With his physicality in the game, physical is really important this year in FIFA. He's 300,000 coins. This is probably the most he's ever been, and he'll probably hold that price as well. He becomes a 93 rated centre-back, but just look at his stats defensively. You are not going to get past him anytime soon. He gets quicker over time. For somebody that strong, it's just an absolute nightmare. If I actually got this card for the first time ever, I would probably be happy about it and not too disappointed, because obviously I'm not a Spanish fan or anything like that. And he's just a crazy card. Moving back to icons again, we have got Maldini, and he is going into the S tier. Not because he's a left back, but because Maldini can play centre back as a secondary position, which is ridiculous. It's such a stupid thing that they put in, but I love it. I love everything about it. It makes him just so good as a base. Not wasted out on left back, as you can see here. He's coming in at 820,000. If you can't afford the prime, or the mid, sorry, go get the base. Get an anchor on him. Comes 91 overall in pace. And 94 is the lowest in defensive awareness. 91 rated as a centre-back. Put a position change on him. Get him to play centre-back. You are laughing all the way to clean sheets with that, I can promise you. Now we are going to move on to some other ones. We've got Gravendiol, which I think is an S, or C, sorry. I was really disappointed with him. Maybe it's because of the low tiers now, their defensive awareness and composure. Everything makes a big difference this time. Defensive awareness is only 77. Of course, he has lengthy like most centre-backs do. But look, he's only 900 coins of an 82 pace centre-back. Last year, we've all would have been going crazy for somebody like that. You put a shadow on him, he becomes 86 rated. But he's just not that good in game, unfortunately. And again, it does not translate over. We are going to stay in the Bundesliga, sorry. And we're going to go with Frimpong. I think he's a very good right back. He could have been in A, but we are going to put him in B, and let me explain why. So Frimpong has actually got a very good card this year compared to last year. Fantastic pace, but his problem is letting him down is his defensive awareness again. And if they have low defensive awareness, they do not jockey the space very well. So he's coming at 12,000 coins. If we were to put an anchor on him, does it make him lengthy? It doesn't. It just boosts up his defensive awareness to 77. His header inaccuracies in 53. So as you can see, that is my main reason him being there. If he could just boost up his defensive awareness to maybe 85, he would be one of the best right backs in the Bundesliga, or maybe even in the game as a gold card. But unfortunately, he is not. We are going to carry on with the right backs, and it's going to be Reece James. And I'm going to put Reece James as an A. And hear me out on this. The Premier League is lacking, apart from Kyle Walker, we have got Trent. And I think Trent is a fantastic defender, and he's actually very good in game. But with Reece James, he's just so rounded, as you can see here. Look how rounded his card is. If we scroll down here, they're recommended anchor or shadow. So we put an anchor on, it becomes an 85 rated right back. But look how rounded his card is. With a shadow, becomes an 86. And for that price, 18,000, I don't see anything wrong with the card at all. Really, really good price. The reason he's not in S tier is because of Kyle Walker, basically. That's the main reason he's not in there. We are going to move on to our next position now. It's another left back. And we're back in the Bundesliga, and it's Alphonso Davies. Couldn't mention Meta without Davies. Again, he is most likely the best left back in the game because of his pace. With this new chemistry system, we do not have to worry as much about getting links with him. And as you can see here, if we put a backbone on him, when I find backbone, he becomes really, really good. Very, very rounded, great acceleration, sprint speed. It gets up to 80 defensive awareness, as I mentioned, which helps out massively. But look how good his dribbling is. He even has pretty good passing for a left back as well. So he gives you so many options, especially coming in at 57,000 coins as well. The link to Mane is just what you need. And he is very, very good overall. The next one's going to be a bit controversial, and I know people are probably going to hate me for it, but Kounde is going to be B for me. And I'm very disappointed with Kounde. Because he has his own run, I thought Kounde was just going to be an absolute menace. And he is so expensive for what he is as well. But hear me out on this. So I understand why he is so much, and I understand why people will be upset. But the defenders you can get from La Liga are just better. Alaba, I think, is better price, and the same as Rudiger being more expensive is just a better defender. But Kounde is coming in at 75,000 coins. We put an anchor on him, which is everybody suggesting. He becomes lengthy, but again, statistically fantastic. It's just his running type. I don't know what it is. The animation doesn't work very well with the card. And that is why he's in a B for me. I would love to put him higher, and I think he does. Maybe with some special cards they'll fix it. But because if he has his own running type, it just makes him seem like he's nowhere near as good. And here comes the biggest disappointment of them all. Skriniar is going to be in D. I was so disappointed with Skriniar, especially after last year, how good Skriniar was. Really, really a machine last year. And I don't know what's happened. Some overnight last year, he got so much pace. And then overnight this year, he just seemed to have lost a lot of pace. Of course, he has lengthy like all of them, and we can put a shadow on him. And it makes him a 90 rated centre-back. But I just feel that the Serie A is lacking in high-rated centre-backs. If you want a centre-back from Serie A, you go get Tomori. Don't even bother with Skriniar. Not the greatest links either. Not like that's important this year as much. But with Tomori, with that argument, he's got the best left back and the best goalkeeper in that league to be able to link with. I think the only reason he's even in this list is because of his pricing. But I was bitterly disappointed with Skriniar, which is a shame. And we are going to move over to our right back position. It's going to be Hakimi. And Hakimi's going in A. I wanted to put him in S. But it's just basically his rating that lets him down. He's got a big downgrade this year, and I don't really know why. I don't think he played particularly bad last year at all. And Hakimi's just been so consistent. 70,000 as usual. High price for him. We're going to get an anchor on him, and it just boosts up his stats. Maybe it's down to his defensive awareness. That's why he's not that great. Because, again, low defensive awareness means they don't jockey very well in the space or don't jockey for very long. And that is a shame. But that being said, we are going to stick in the same league, and we've got ourselves another S tier, and that is Marquinhos, Team of the Week, or even his gold is that good as well. And I love about Marquinhos is, it's Marquinhos. Like, he's just all over the place all the time. He's actually considerably quite cheap for the card as well. 200,000 coins for his inform, 70,000 for his gold. So there's not much difference between his inform and gold, but with an anchor, it becomes a 93 rated centre-back. And look at those defensive stats. 93 is his lowest. And he has lengthy with 86 pace. So you know, or 84 pace, sorry. So you know he's going to be an absolute menace. With the players he can link to, we already know the Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe. It makes him invaluable just for that. Then we are going to move over to our inform Akanji. He is an A for me. I used his gold card a lot at the start of the game. And Akanji was surprisingly impressive for his gold card. So I was interested to see how his inform plays. And is basically the same, but better, if that makes sense. So 67,000 coins with probably an anchor on him as well. Boosts him to lengthy. And again, really high defensive awareness at 90. and that sprint speed makes him a 90 rated centre-back as an 84 card. And it's because of his defensive awareness with the lengthy. Because he can jockey really well and he can find the space. It makes him so good. Man City have got themselves some really good defenders this year in FIFA. Maybe not so much with the centre-backs because Akanji is probably the best one. But in terms of left-back, right-back, as usual, really good. We are going to move over to another S tier, and there's another icon. It's Desai. And I know Desai is a CDM, but hear me out here. This year, he has a secondary position of centre-back. And that is terrifying to say out loud because Desai is always so good. Coming at 620,000 coins. You can see there, centre-back is a secondary position. We stick ourselves a shadow on this card and we are laughing. 92 rated centre-back. Got 90 acceleration, 91 sprint speed, 90 headering accuracy, and 94 defensive awareness. This card is basically the French Maldini, but a lot cheaper. I don't think people know you can play him centre-back, and that's why his price hasn't gone up. I think he will probably become way more expensive over time. And that's just one of those cards that you're going to have nightmares in as soon as people start getting icon packs. Moving back to our list, and we're going to go to French centre-back this time, and it's going to be Hernandez, and I'm sorry, but he is in the bottom of the list. Hernandez is terrible. Or maybe not terrible is a harsh way to describe him, but he's not very good. You can just get Upamecano, who is miles better than Hernandez. And it's a shame. They've moved him to centre-back this year, which is definitely the position they needed to, because the left-back he is wasted. But with an anchor, as you can see, he becomes lengthy, and he has really good stats, but it just doesn't translate in the game, which is a shame. He feels too clunky at times, and he really lets the side down. Especially as mentioned, we already have with Upamecano there, but there is also one new transfer card who plays in the same position, and he is amazing. He is going to be an S tier as well, De Ligt. If you've got his one to watch, you are so lucky because he's going to get himself 2 upgrades no matter what. Because playing for Holland, I'd imagine they're definitely going to win at least one game in the World Cup. And you'd imagine that Bayern Munich are going to win 3 out of 8 or 3 out of 7 no matter what. So 114,000. He's already lengthy, but look at his base stats just as a defensive. 81 being the lowest. So as soon as you get yourself a shadow, it becomes 89. But just remember, he's going to have 2 upgrades minimum. Let alone if he gets a goal, because he does score quite a bit in football anyway. He could become one of the best defenders in the game if everything goes to plan with upgrades, making him just unbelievable. That's why he's in the S tier. We are now starting to run out. We're going to move to Cuadrado. And again, he's a C for me. I packed Cuadrado early days, and I was really happy I got him. After a couple of days learning the game, found out that he's actually not that good, to be honest. He's too weak at times, and he is really lacking in physicality. So let's move over to Footbin. As you can see, 13,750 coins, and that is the reason. I think he's actually better as a right mid than a right back, but we are doing defensive players, and they are saying anchor as well on him, which I actually use. And I do think he's better as a right mid than he is a right back. Problem is, with Serie A, is they're really lacking in right backs. I think if they had a few more better options, this card would be even cheaper than he is. And that is why he's a C. It's a shame because, as always, Cuadrado is normally like the go-to right back, but this year, not at all. We are going to move over back to our hero list, and we've got ourselves Collier, and he is terrible. He's in the D. Again, I don't know what it is with Collier. I just find him super lacking. I was hoping that the lengthy situation would make him miles better. It really doesn't. So if we have a look on Footbin, he's coming in about 114,000 coins, and I think that's just because he's a hero and he's rarer than golds. I do think he'll get the job done, and he is possibly up there with some of the better defenders in Bundesliga. But I just don't know what it is. He's just lacking. Coming in at 6'1" doesn't help him because it seems to be the real tall defenders do well. Obviously, if you put a shadow on him, he has fantastic stats. As well as lengthy, having 83. With a shadow one, becomes 93 overall. But he just doesn't translate in the game again. You'll find yourself being caught out with him, and I don't know why, because he has high composure, really good reactions. All the stats suggest he's going to be really good, and maybe my expectations are too high on him, but he's just not quite there, unfortunately. We are going to move over to one of the newer heroes, and that's going to be Capdevia, sorry. We are going to move over to one of our newer heroes, and that's going to be Capdevia, and again, disappointing with that. Left back's not the greatest. They have to be something outrageous to beat the list of right backs and left backs we have. And unfortunately, he's just not there. He has really good stats again. But with left back situation, he's just lacking big time. I feel like you could just go get Jordi Alba and you'd have the same scenario as you've got now. As you can see, you look at this card and go, I don't see anything wrong with it. I don't know what it is. He's just lacking in everything. Might be down to his height, but having 3-star weak foot, 3-star skill. I'm not too sure. Passing's inconsistent as it is, and something about this card is just a little bit off-putting. It's a shame, really, because maybe when we get some shapeshifter promo ones and he gets upgraded a bit higher or something like that, he could be much better. But I think he's so overpriced for what he is, and the links he provides that helps out are not that great either. Moving back to the list, and we've got ourselves another new hero, and it's going to be Mascherano, and he is definitely S tier. I love Mascherano. I think he is an absolute machine. He just causes problems everywhere. He's so good at defending. With having that Argentina league as well, it's nice to have players like Mascherano in the game. As we switch back over to FUTBIN, he's coming in at 233k, and he's just going up over time. And people are starting to realise that he is very, very good. They're saying engine, and that's basically because he already has 90 defensive awareness, and it just basically boosts up everything that you need. Imagine having a centre-back with already extremely high defensive stats, but really high agility and balance. 5'9", I know he's small. And I know you could probably move him to CDM because he is 88 rated, which I probably would do in game. I think he's probably one of the better CDMs you can do with him for sure. And that is why he's an S tier, the versatility with him. And he just seems to dominate all the time. Moving on to our next one is going to be Ricardo Carvalho. And I want to put Carvalho in S tier, but I'm not going to. Unfortunately, he's going to be in B. And let me explain why. So with Carvalho, I remember watching him at Real Madrid, at Chelsea, and thinking to myself, this is one hell of a player in real life. He's got Premier League links, and this is the reason why I'm just not a big fan of him. But obviously, he's with... So with his Heroes World Cup is Premier League apparently, but with his actual in-card game, it is Liga Portugal. And yes, he's probably their best defender in that league, but he just doesn't offer anything. No one's making teams around him to use that card. And it's a shame because, again, he's got really good stats. As soon as he moves to another league, like later on with Shapeshifter, for example, or the Moments, or whatever they do with Heroes this year, and they put him back to the Prem or La Liga, he's going to be S tier every single time. The only thing is lacking with this card is his position. For a price of 127,000, I know it doesn't matter too much for chemistry, but you got to look at it at that position. You are losing a player that you could probably get someone better and cheaper for that price and have better links to give your strikers or wingers who are not linking to anybody else. And that is why he is C. I want to put him in B, but I want to put him in S, but I can't. We have got Marquez, and he's in the same position. I like Marquez a lot, but again, he's just lacking a lot in situations. Being Mexican, and he has a really good secondary position. That's one thing I will say. Playing CDM, he's 200,000 coins, and he is an okay defender, but it's just not fun to use, if you understand what I mean. Is he meta? Definitely. Could you buy cheaper defenders? 100%. Imagine that Rudiger's gold card is basically the same as this, and he's miles better, in my opinion. We put an anchor on him, is what they're suggesting. It does make him a higher rated centre-back, that is for sure. But it's just his pace overall. Again, lengthy, it means he can only hit up to about 80 pace overall. Really good defensive stats as per usual. Really good composure. But because of the options we have in La Liga for centre-backs and left-backs and right-backs, just not quite there. We are going to move over to our last 5 icons here. And the first one's going to be a D, and that's going to be Rijkaard. I just don't know what it is about this card. I absolutely hate it. I hate it every single FIFA. I managed to pack him last year. My first icon I packed, and he's not it. Like, this is his best card for sure, playing as a centre-back, because you can move him to CDM. But it's just, this card's always so clunky every single time. Coming at 375,000 with a shadow on him, which is obviously his best choice. Makes him a 91 rated centre-back. But for a 91 rated centre-back, I look at all the choices you can get for less than the coins that you have as well. Maybe I'm a hater on this card. You have to let me know if you disagree. But I'm just not sold on him at all. I think he's terrible, always bad in game. And there's just something about his stats should not suggest that at all. His height, everything about this card does not suggest that, but he just feels like that in game. He's always making mistakes for me and costing me games. Moving over to Carlos Alberto, and he is S tier every single day of the week. Carlos Alberto, again, is an absolute cheat code. And here is another reason why. So if you don't know about Carlos Alberto, if you don't like him out on the right back, he can play centre back. And him as a centre-back with having anchor on is just an absolute nightmare. Having 94 pace as a centre-back and 90 defensive awareness, 84 composure, and really good short passing. He's just everywhere on the pitch. Look at his aggression as well. Like, his stats are just unbelievable for a centre-back. That's why he's so much at 840,000 coins. Is because if you don't want him out right back, you can move him into centre-back. If you play 3 at the back or 5 at the back, you can still stick him at centre-back. And that makes a huge difference. We are going to go to our last 3 now. We've got one more S tier, and that's going to be Blanc. It had to be Blanc. Something about this card, I don't know what it is. It's the way he's made in the factory, as they say. Just an unbelievable centre-back. Again, another year of having Blanc as absolute meta. Coming in at about 500,000 coins as a centre-back with his mid. And as you can see, he can play cam. I'm not sure why you'd want to play him cam, I'm going to be honest. But if you put an anchor on him, it becomes a 92 rated centre-back. And just comparing him to Carlos Alberto, they're very, very similar. Yes, the pace is less. But look at his long pass, short passing. His defensive stats overall, 96 awareness. Really good physicals. Really good dribbling for a centre-back or a cam if you wanted to play him cam. And that is why he is an S tier. Moving on to our last 2 is Fernando Herrera, who's going to be in the A, and Zambrotta, who's also going to be in A. So they are both very similar. Fantastic cards again. Herrera is getting a really nice boost this year. He feels way better than he has in any other FIFA. And Zambrotta, because he can basically play wherever he wants. We always know with Zambrotta, he is just the go-to icon for that position. Zambrotta mid, can play right back, left back, and he's just a fantastic card. Again, coming in at 380,000 coins, which is a bit expensive for that, but again, completely worth it in my opinion. And Herrera, I think, is coming in a much cheaper, but again, an unbelievable defender, as you can see here. 174,000. You go put a shadow on this card, you are laughing, because if he comes 92 again, I know his sprint speed is lacking, but again, look at his passing, his physicals, his composure. And all of his stats here is 95 or 92 slide tackle is his lowest. But when do you ever notice that? Really? That has been today's video. If you disagree with anything, please comment down below. This is an open conversation. We can all have different opinions. If you've enjoyed today's video, consider hitting that like button and subscribing to the channel. And I'll catch you in the next one. See you.